Hello students, welcome to video lesson 6.3 and 6.4. We're doing both of these lessons in one video, talking about area and circumference of circles. Okay, this is the last shape that we need to be able to find the area of or the circumference of in order to move into three-dimensional shapes next week, talking about volume and surface area. Okay, a lot of three-dimensional shapes include circles, things like cones and cylinders to be specific. So we're just going to, in this video, review the area and circumference of a circle, the formulas for those, make sure those are in the notes, and understand, what information we need in order to find the area and circumference of a circle. So just as a reminder, the area tells us the space on the inside of the shape. So, in a circle, we're talking about the area inside of the circle. And then circumference is our circular way of talking about perimeter. Okay, circumference means all the way around the circle, the distance around the circle. So in order to find either of these, the only dimension, as I mentioned in our last video, is the radius or the diameter. Now, we mostly focus on the radius because the area formula is completely dependent on the radius. You can't actually find the area formula with the diameter unless you make it significantly more complicated. So we focus in on the radius, but there is a formula for circumference around the circle that uses radius and then one that uses diameter, and they're both relatively easy, okay? So our formula for area, and this is sort of where in the world of geometry we begin to involve pi. Right, pi is an irrational number, a decimal number that goes on forever and never ends. It is approximately 3.14. That is a rounded off version of pi. And in order to calculate the area of a circle, we need to use that number pi. Our formula is pi multiplied by the radius of the circle squared. Okay, now, for our purposes in this class, I am okay with you using 3.14 as an approximation of pi, as long as we all have the understanding that that is an approximation. So it is not giving us exact answers, it's giving us a very close estimate of the area or the circumference or whatever it is that we're finding, okay? So for our purposes in this class, we will use 3.14 as our approximation of pi. We will multiply that then by the radius squared. Okay, that's the formula for area. You have to know the radius in order to find the area of a circle. Now, to find the circumference of a circle, which I will call C, by the way, somehow my center disappeared. To find the circumference, we still need the number pi, and there's two different ways we can find the circumference. And the general formulas, the way they're normally written, are pi times d, which stands for diameter. So pi times the diameter, or we can do 2 pi, 2 times pi times the radius. Okay, and this is because, remember from our last video, the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. So we can also think of this as pi multiplied by 2 times the radius, because 2 times the radius is the diameter. Okay, so any of these formulas are going to work for you. The most common two that you will see in other places are this, pi times the diameter, or 2 times pi times the radius. So again, we can use either the diameter or the radius to find the circumference. It is not specific to one of those. But if we are being asked to find the area, that is specific to the radius. We have to know the radius so that we can square it and find the area, okay? So just a quick, couple quick examples of using these formulas. If we have, let's say, a circle with a diameter of 6 inches, okay? Circle with a diameter of 6 inches. If I want to find the circumference of that circle, I can simply use, this formula here, which says circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. And remember, for our purposes, we can approximate pi as 3.14 multiplied by diameter, but I'm told the diameter here is 6. So 3.14 times 6 is going to give me, what, 18.84, I believe. Okay, 18.84. Now, the circumference is like the perimeter in the fact that we use regular units. So when you're given units in a problem and then you're asked to find the circumference of a circle, the units for the diameter or the radius are the same as the units for the circumference. So this is 18.84 inches. Okay, when we find the area, when we calculate the area of this circle, our units will be squared. Okay, we will deal in inches squared. Now, in order to find the area of this circle, we first have to find the radius. Okay, we are given the diameter, but we need to find the radius in order to use our formula for area, right, which is pi, 3.14, times the radius squared. So if the diameter is 6, remember that the diameter divided by 2 will give us the radius. So the radius is going to be equal to 3 inches. So when I find the area, I'm really doing pi, which is an approximately 3.14, multiplied by my radius, which is 3 squared. Okay, so the area then is 3.14 times 9, because 3 squared is 9. Whoops, I meant to write 9 there. 3.14 times 9, which gives me, let's see, what? 28.16. 28.26. And that's in inches squared, okay? 28.26 inches squared. So when you're given the diameter of a circle, make sure that when you calculate the area, you do cut that in half to find the radius, okay? And for circumference, you can just use the diameter as given. Now, when you are given a radius, when you're given the radius, we can just do both formulas with the radius, right? Circumference, remember, we have the alternative formula 2 times pi times the radius, okay? So this would be like 2 times 3.14 times, in this case, the radius of 10 feet. So 10 feet. And so this is really 6.28 times 10. So about 62.8, and that's feet, right? Because my radius units are feet, so my circumference units are also feet. So remember that we have this formula that can use radius to find circumference. When we find the area of a circle, and we go to pi times radius squared, the nice thing here is I don't have to do anything with the radius. I don't have to cut it in half. I can just, go ahead and plug the value 10 in for my radius in this formula, and it says 3.14 times 10 squared, which is like 3.14 times 100, which is going to give me 314. And that now is in feet squared because it's an area. So my radius units were feet, my area units are feet squared. Okay, if you have any questions at all about finding the area or the circumference of a circle given either the diameter or the radius, please let me know. Otherwise, that's it for now. Next week, we will move on to 3 dimensions, and we will talk to you soon.